Have you ever eaten a big juicy apple? Maybe it was red or green or yellow? Apples are a wonderful fruit, and they grow on a special kind of plant called an apple tree. These trees are found in many places all around the world, in gardens and big farms called orchards. Apple trees like places that are not too hot and not too cold. They enjoy having 4 different seasons: a warm spring, a sunny summer, a cool autumn, and a cold winter. The life of a great apple tree begins inside a ripe apple. If you look carefully in the middle of an apple, you will see a star-shaped part called the core. Inside this core, there are small, dark brown seeds. These seeds are like tiny, sleeping baby plants. Each seed has a hard outer shell that protects the little plant inside. The seed is waiting for the right time to wake up and start growing. For an apple seed, this waiting period is very important. It needs to go through a cold time, like a long winter sleep, before it is ready to sprout. To help it grow, you can take a seed from an apple you have eaten. First, you need to clean the seed gently with water and let it dry. Then, to give the seed its important cold time, you can wrap it in a damp paper towel. You can place this paper towel inside a plastic bag and put it in a cold place, like a refrigerator, for a few months. After the seed has had its long, cold rest, it is finally ready to be planted in soil. You can make a small hole in the soil with your finger, about twice as deep as the seed is long. Then, you gently place the seed inside the hole and cover it up with more soil. Once the seed is planted, it needs a little bit of help to wake up. You should give it a small amount of water. Deep under the dark, warm soil, something magical is happening to the little apple seed. The hard outer shell cracks open, and a tiny white root begins to push its way out. It pushes its way up through the soil, reaching for the sunlight. When it first appears above the ground, it might look like a little green loop. Then, it will straighten up and you will see its first 2 leaves. These are called seed leaves, or cotyledons. They give the tiny plant its first bit of energy from the sun. As the sprout gets bigger, it will grow more leaves. These new leaves are called true leaves. These leaves are very important because they are like little food factories for the plant. The young apple plant, now called a sapling, will continue to grow taller and stronger. After a year or 2 of growing in a pot, the little apple sapling is ready for a bigger home. To plant it, you need to dig a big hole in a sunny spot in a garden or a field. The hole should be wide and deep enough for all the roots to fit comfortably without being bent or crowded. Once the young tree is carefully placed in the hole, the soil is filled in around its roots. After planting, the tree needs a big drink of water. For the first few years of its life outside, the young apple tree will focus all of its energy on growing. It will grow taller, its trunk will get thicker, and it will grow many more branches and leaves. Its main job is to establish a strong root system and a sturdy frame of branches. During these early years, the young apple tree will not produce any fruit. After about 3 to 5 years of growing, the young apple tree is finally mature enough to start producing flowers. In the springtime, when the weather gets warmer and the days get longer, tiny little buds will start to appear on the tips of its branches. These are flower buds. Inside each bud, a beautiful flower is waiting to open. The tree has spent years getting ready for this moment. It has stored up enough energy and grown strong enough to begin the process of making the fruit we all love. When spring arrives, the apple tree puts on a beautiful show. The apple tree becomes covered in lovely flowers called apple blossoms. These blossoms are usually white or a very light pink color. They have a sweet, pleasant smell that fills the air and attracts visitors to the tree. An apple tree in full bloom is a wonderful sight, with hundreds or even thousands of delicate flowers decorating its branches like beautiful ornaments. If you look closely at an apple blossom, you will see it has many different parts. In the middle of the flower, there is a part called the pistil. This is the female part of the flower. Around the pistil, there are several smaller stalks with dusty yellow tops. These are called stamens, and they are the male parts of the flower. Bees are attracted to the sweet smell and bright colors of the apple blossoms. They fly from flower to collect a sweet liquid called nectar. When the bee flies to another apple blossom to get more nectar, some of the pollen from its body rubs off onto the new flower's pistil. This is pollination. This simple act is one of the most important steps in making an apple. Without the help of bees and other insects, most apple blossoms would not get pollinated. If a flower is not pollinated, it will simply dry up and fall off the tree, and no apple will grow in its place. So, we have the hardworking bees to thank for helping our apple trees make delicious fruit. Once a flower has been pollinated, the amazing transformation from a blossom to a fruit begins. The pollen that landed on the pistil travels down a tiny tube to a part at the base of the flower called the ovary. The beautiful white and pink petals are no longer needed, so they will dry up and fall away from the branch. This small green part at the base of the flower is where the apple will grow. At first it is very tiny, about the size of a small pea. Throughout the warm summer months, the baby apple continues to grow. It gets bigger and rounder every day. It is like a little balloon being slowly filled with water and sugar. The apple tree's leaves work hard all summer long, using the sunlight to make lots of sugary food through photosynthesis. This food travels through the branches and into the growing apples, making them sweet and juicy. The skin of the apple is green at first, which helps it blend in with the leaves and stay protected. As it gets bigger and riper, it will start to change color. As summer turns into autumn, the apples get closer to being fully grown. Depending on the type of apple tree, the fruit will turn from green to a beautiful red, yellow, or a mix of colors. Inside the growing apple, the ovules have developed into hard brown seeds. The sweet, fleshy part of the apple grows around these seeds to protect them. For an apple tree to grow big and strong and produce lots of delicious fruit, it needs a few important things from its environment. The first and most important thing is sunlight. Apple trees are sun-loving plants. They need at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight every single day. Without enough sun, the tree will be weak and it will not be able to produce many flowers or apples. Another very important need is water. Apple trees need a good amount of water, especially when they are young and when they are growing fruit during the summer. The water is absorbed by the roots and travels all the way up the trunk and into the leaves and apples. The tree likes soil that is moist, but not soaking wet, like a sponge that has been squeezed out. Apple trees also need to grow in the right kind of soil. The soil should be full of nutrients, which are like vitamins for the tree. Finally, apple trees need space and clean air. They need plenty of room to spread out their branches and their roots. If trees are planted too close together, they have to compete for sunlight, water, and nutrients, and they will not grow as well. Good air circulation around the branches helps to keep the leaves dry and prevents diseases from spreading. A happy apple tree is one that has a sunny spot, the right amount of water, rich soil to grow in, and plenty of space to reach for the sky. The journey from a tiny flower to a full-sized apple takes a long time. This growing period lasts all through the summer, for about 100 to 200 days. During this time, the apples are slowly getting bigger, heavier, and sweeter. As autumn approaches, the apples begin their final transformation. The green color in their skin fades away, and new colors like red, yellow, or bright pink appear. A ripe apple will be firm to the touch, have a beautiful bright color, and will smell sweet. It is finally time for the harvest, which is the season for picking the apples from the trees. To pick an apple, you should hold it gently in the palm of your hand, lift it up toward the branch, and give it a little twist. A ripe apple will come off the tree easily. Farmers in big orchards have to pick thousands of apples, and they do it all by hand to make sure the fruit does not get bruised or damaged. After all the apples have been picked, the tree's work for the year is almost done. The leaves on the tree will change color from green to yellow, orange, and brown, and then they will fall to the ground. The tree will go into a deep sleep for the winter, resting and saving its energy. When spring comes again, the amazing cycle will start all over again. New leaves will grow, beautiful blossoms will bloom, and the tree will get ready to make another crop of delicious apples. The journey of an apple is truly a remarkable story of nature. It all begins with a very small and simple seed, hidden away inside a fruit. This seed holds the promise of a big, strong tree. With a little help, it can be planted in the soil where it will sprout and begin its long journey of growth. It grows from a tiny seedling into a young sapling, and then finally into a mature tree with a thick trunk and many branches. This process takes many years of patience, but the result is a beautiful tree that can live for a very long time. Every spring, the apple tree celebrates its maturity by covering itself in beautiful and sweet-smelling flowers. With the very important help of buzzing bees that carry pollen from one flower to another, the blossoms are pollinated. After pollination, the flower petals fall away, and a tiny apple begins to grow in its place. All summer long, the apple gets bigger and sweeter, fed by the sunlight, water, and nutrients that the hardworking tree provides for it. The apples that grow on its branches are a gift. They are not only delicious to eat, but they are also very good for us. So, the next time you bite into a crisp, juicy apple, take a moment to think about its amazing adventure. Think about the tiny seed it came from, the tall tree it grew on, the pretty flower it once was, and the busy bee that helped it grow. The apple in your hand is the end of a long and beautiful journey. They carry the seeds that can one day grow into new apple trees, starting the wonderful cycle of life all over again.